So the first thing I'm going to do is, for starters, I'm going to clear this up and I'm going to type in KenBroTech. So once I have this and save, if I should come back to the browser, I'm going to see KenBroTech over here. Now we may not need this for now, so let me close this up. So let me put things side by side so that we see exactly what's happening with anything we do. All right, so here we have KenBroTech. Now remember I said Bootstrap is a front-end framework, so we are using it for our interface, for our design and things of that sort. Now, the first thing that should come to mind as far as web development is concerned and in relation to front-end is the fact that we use CSS in our styling. So now let's just do a quick recap of some basic CSS that we already know. So over here, I'm just going to do the internal method where we are going to come into our head tag and I'm going to type in style. So within the style tag, now I'm going to create a class, but let me add a class to this h1 tag over here. So let me say class, and inside this class, let me call this class Brony. And that's actually my name. So I have class Brony over here. I have this saved, and as you can see, nothing is happening because we haven't applied any form of styling to it. Now I'll come back here and do .brony in order to grab the class. Then inside this, I'm going to say background. So I'll choose background and I'm going to specify a color over here. So for the color, I'm going to say orange red. So when I choose orange red, that's exactly what you have over here. You have orange red over here. Now, as far as these colors are concerned, Bootstrap has quite a number of colors for us. So you're going to see some of these colors. So the first thing you're going to talk about is the contextual colors. So I'm going to put out a comment over here. And under here, I'm going to start H1 and I'm going to say KenBroTech. So this is what you have over here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this a number of times. So I'm going to do a shift and the alt and the down arrow key to duplicate it as we see it, or we see them over here. Now in order to add Bootstrap classes, we are just going to put out the class and the name of the class as attributes over here. So we can say class, and the first thing we are going to talk about is Txt Primary. When we do Txt Primary, all that we are trying to say is we want the primary color, which actually is a blue color, for the text. Now, if we were to do this in CSS, we would have come here, specify a class over here, and say the color property should be blue. So clearly, we can see that we haven't written any CSS, and that's exactly what Bootstrap is giving us. So the next one we are going to look at is the secondary contextual color. So I'll do Txt secondary. So when I do Txt secondary, now the secondary class or the secondary color is a little bit shaded gray, and if you are very observant, you can see that there's quite some difference between this and the default black color we see down here. So we are going to move on to the other colors. I'm going to do class and I'll do Txt info. So this is the info color. There's another one, Txt danger. And the danger is reddish. We have one as Txt warning. The warning is yellowish. We have class Txt success. The success is green. Then we also have class Txt muted. So the muted is almost the same as the secondary. As you can see, they are quite almost the same. Now I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this I think 4 times, and see the other colors as well. And this is going to be a little bit tricky, but then we are going to see it happening over here. Now you are going to do txt light. So clearly txt light is going to make this disappear, but then it is not disappearing. The text is what we see over here. But then because the background, the original background of this entire viewport is white, that's why it blends in. So what I can do, so as you can see, we have txt white. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this my custom class. Now this is the txt light is changing the color of the text, and the brony class has to do with the background. So if I should add this brony class to it, and that's exactly what you see over here. So you can see that the text is now white, and the background of the text is my brony class color, which is the orange red background. Now clearly one thing that I'm trying to show here is the fact that we can add, or we can combine our own custom class, which is brony, and the Bootstrap class as we see over here. So it works as far as some of these things are concerned. Now the next one we are going to look at is, I'm going to say class, and I'll do txt white. So when I do txt white, that one to disappear, and of course the color is white, so clearly things are going to change. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a background behind it so that at least we can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do bg, and over here I'm just jumping a step further, but then we are going to come back to this and we see how all these things work out. I'm going to do bg dark. Now when I do bg dark, all I'm trying to say is I need a dark background. As you can see, the bg stands for background, and we have background dark over here. If I did background primary, I was going to pick up this primary color, which is the blue color, and this is what you have. So clearly, as far as the colors are concerned, you can also have txt dark, but then by default this is already dark, so it kind of blends in, so we are not going to see it pop up like the other colors. So these are the contextual colors as far as Bootstrap is concerned. So the next one you are going to look at is obviously the contextual colors, but then we are going to look at the background colors more. And the background colors, like you saw me do over here, we are going to replicate this a number of times. So I'm going to put out a comment over here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put out an h1 tag and give it a title so that we kind of separate our work. All right, so you have background colors over here. Now, as you can see, this is stacked so to the bottom and doesn't look too good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put out a div, and inside this div, I'm just going to specify a height so that we kind of have some height. So I'm going to say 500 pixels, and you can see that you have some gap in here. So what I'm going to do with the background colors is I'm going to put out an h2 tag, and inside this h2 tag I'm going to say learn programming. So this is what you have over here, learn programming. I'm going to duplicate this a number of times, so I'll do a shift alt and the down arrow key, and that's what you see over here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and put out a class of bg primary, and that's what you see over here. So the primary color, let's proceed to say bg, so class bg secondary, and that's what we see over here. Let's do class bg info, and let's do class bg, and let's do dark. So now when you do dark, you can see that the dark, the shade of the dark is a little bit darker than the secondary. So we can also do a class of bg danger, And danger is going to be the reddish color as you see over here. Then the next one is going to be BG success. That's going to be the green background color. And we can also do BG warning. So we do BG warning over here. Then we can also do a BG. We can do a BG of white. And let me duplicate this once again. And we can also do a BG of light. But like I said, because of these backgrounds, because the original background we have over here is white, we don't see this very well. What I can do to actually make this prominent is actually to come here and say for the body, I want a background color of, let's say, red. Now when I choose red, the entire space we have over here is going to be red. But then as you can see, because we specified a background of white and a background of light over here, you can see that this two is having those backgrounds we see. So I'm going to clear this off, and this is what we have. And clearly we can be combining a number of these classes together. So for instance, let's come to the first one over here. This was a background of primary. We can change the text, the color of the text. So that's going to be Txt, and let's change it to red. So you have danger, and that's what you see over here. You can change this, the text, to, let's say, warning, to the yellowish color, and that's what we see over here. And these are a number of things we can do as far as the colors and the backgrounds are concerned.